this year anyway. Are we live?
We are live.
Okay.
Why are you guys all quiet?
I thought we were live, so I stopped talking.
We are live.
Oh, okay. This is the
you got people looking at you not saying anything. All right, let me find the theme song so we can launch.
Officially start.
People watching like, what are they talking about? I'm gonna change the channel because they're not talking about anything. Here we go. All right, welcome back to Talking Preps Basketball. We're live on air. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. We'll give them to our esteemed panel. I got Coach Mitchell, South Mac, right beside me, the guru, Rick Lewis. Below me, Coach Groove of Huff, and Gary Richmond, the Hall of Fame coach. Can we call you Hall of Fame coach from Hopewell event?
Is this like the Remember the Titans Hall of Fame? The one that doesn't exist in real life.
And we're gonna try to add in Randall Clark, who's needing light. Randall, is your microphone working?
I think y'all can hear me now.
I can hear you now, but I just can't see you.
We can't see you.
Can't see you. You need some light. You need to like scoot over to your right a little bit and get some more light in the situation. Well, while Randall's doing that, Coach Lewis, I want to ask you, Lake Norman Christian down 14 at Raleigh Word of God on Saturday in the third quarter. Looked like they were done. AJ Allen's back goes nuts. Trey Green goes nuts. I mean, Mikey Williams, all those guys, Joyful Hawkins, everybody goes nuts. They get what I think is maybe the biggest win in school history. What's your thoughts there?
I would agree. Anytime you go to Word of God and beat them on their home court, it's pretty tough. If you don't believe me, just ask Combine. They went there a couple weeks ago and took the loss. But Word of God is very talented. I mean, they have three guys that are high major prospects. And, I was watching a game as well, and they were down 14. They looked like they were done, and all of a sudden they made a nice run, took the game in overtime, and then just controlled it in overtime. But they have a very talented team. But let's give a lot of credit to Pat McCarthy, who's taken over the position as head coach around January the 12th. He's done a remarkable job with that group, and I think he deserves a lot of applause as well.
All right, Randall, I'm not going to put you into one shot because we still can't quite see you, but your thoughts about the job that Coach McCarthy's doing in such a short amount of time to kind of get that ship righted, because they look like the team that we all kind of thought they were going to be in the last quarter and a half on Saturday night.
Well, obviously it was a tough situation for him to come into. Not picking up with a team mid-season and literally playing a game your first night in. But I think that was a huge win. It's a season-changing win for them.
Oops, there you go. It's live TV.
Live TV, yep.
Gary, how tough is it to come in the middle of the season, taking over a team with all that talent, trying to get them to learn a new system, and you basically have like a week to do it?
I don't think you want to get them to learn a new system. I think what you want to do is figure out what they do well and build on that and just kind of stick to something simple. I mean, if it's man defense or if it's, a zone defense, or figure out what it is they do well and try to accentuate that and then build from there. But if you go in and try to change everything mid-season, I think you set yourself up for failure.
Jason, I saw you nodding your head. Yes. What do you think about that going in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, travel ball, really. There's not a lot of time to prepare. You're going to have to just do with what they do well. And, a lot of those guys can create their own shot. So it's not like you're going to have to run a complex offense. It's pick and roll, some easy stuff, and get your shooters open and, try to pound it inside because I know they have some size as well. But, that's a horrible situation. I think that most high school programs, they talk a lot about culture, and it's hard to do that in the middle of a year, let alone just a new school too.
Yeah. Coach Lewis, you saw all the Randall's lights better now. Coach Lewis, you saw all the fans in there. Did that bother you seeing that many fans? I mean, they were packed like a regular game. They had on masks, but they were packed in there pretty good.
It was packed. It's a small gym anyway, but it was at capacity.
Yeah.
Thank goodness they were just all wearing their masks. That was a shining caveat of all of it. They were all wearing their masks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was crowded.
Yeah, it was crowded. Christy, I want to get your reaction. CMS pausing athletics. They're taking you off the court from now till February the 15th. Give me your thoughts.
It was a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise. I mean, with our numbers going up and there was a couple clusters, a couple teams that got quarantined, I knew that it was a possibility that it was going to happen. But when it did happen, of course, we were heartbroken, taking a month off of the season right here in the middle. Most teams got 2 or 3 games under their belts before they're taking some time off. And we've been preparing. The season actually started officially in December. So all of December, part of January, and now we're going to take a month off and try to come back February 15th. We have 3 games that we can potentially play that week, and then the next week starts state playoffs. So what I've told my girls is, I hope you're staying in the gym. I hope you're staying in your backyard. You're on the court. You're with your trainer. You're doing something. You're staying physically active, because taking a month off, I mean, you lose all the conditioning, all the endurance that you've built up so far, and it was already a short season. Now it's going to be a very, very, very short season. We come back in week 7 of a 7-week season. So what we do know right now is that on February 20th is when the brackets will come out. February 19th, we submit our conference standings, and, everybody in our conference won't play each other one time. There's going to be somebody's going to miss one game, or some people may miss one game. So you're not really even getting a true, who is the conference champion when you play 6 out of 7 games.
Yeah.
So like for us, we lost to Providence. We won't be able to face them again, and Providence and Ardrey Hill will not match up together. So, that was our one hope that, well, maybe AK will knock off Providence and then we'll have a 3-way tie for first. And now it's not even, that's not going to be the case right now.
Jason, when you guys come back, you're going to be really behind the 8 ball, because these other teams are not only playing, they're practicing as well. So how can you get your guys back ready to go, and assuming you make the playoffs, really make a good run in the playoffs? Or do you think this is a year CMS may not do well in the playoffs?
I mean, obviously, legally, right, is what you're asking me, because
yes, legally, yes.
man, I mean, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. That one, I unlike Chrissy, I didn't see that coming. And I thought if we were gonna do that, it would be the entire state. We're and then another thing is odd is that I know that the Southwestern 4A is doing something different. They're doing a conference tournament style. They're playing 3 games. They seeded based on what they did, and they're playing, and we're playing 3 games. We're playing Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, is my understanding. So I mean, it's just it's a mess. I mean, it's I feel bad for my seniors, really. I mean, this is a little asterisk on my 20 plus years of coaching basketball, but for those seniors, man, like Christy said, we've been doing preseason since November, whenever we were allowed to. I mean, and normally that would be in September. And we would be, kind of worn down at this point, with that final push. But you just get cranked up, you get those competitive spirits and juices flowing, and then bam. I mean, we had a real nice win at Lake Norman on Tuesday, double digits. So a team that lost to West Charlotte by 1 and had the ball. We're 1 point from perfection. We lost on a buzzer beater at Hopewell. So, I thought we were starting to kind of get into that. I mean, I don't know what you want to say, get into when you're in this situation, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and then the rest of the state's playing. I think that there's enough talent. Yeah, they're playing. There's enough talent. I mean, it's odd because I know I got a message for film from Lake Norman for somebody, because they're playing them. The teams had to just scramble, do what the colleges do, I suppose. We talked on the way home, Mooresville and Lake Norman both are in our league, and they're playing, and they're looking for teams, and I would give them a suggestion. Hey, play a play a NBA series, best of 7. You guys have, 1 day off, 2 days, whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think there's enough talent, obviously, in Charlotte. The way some of the teams play, I think they can kind of pick up and play effectively. Like if you got guys that can create their own shots and you get up and down the court and get multiple possessions, I think that it's advantageous for teams like that. For us, it's not. It's where we need the rhythm, we need cohesiveness, all that. So
For us,
it's funny.
A lot of these teams, I mean, when you go to the first round of the state playoffs for CMS, might be game 5, maybe game 6 of your whole season. You're playing the first round of the state playoffs. And for everybody else, this is game 15. So they've definitely had a lot more time. They're playing. They're still in shape. They haven't had this pause. The way it looks like right now is that each team out of the Charlotte conferences will have 2 automatic bids, first and second. Except for the SOMEC girls, because of course we're down 1 team, so we're only adding 1, which also allows. I think we have enough solid teams in Charlotte that we're going to have some wild cards in there as well. So possibly some of us will get a 3rd or a 4th pick out of the group to go to the state playoffs. But like I said, this is for us. It would be game 6. So game 6 would be the first round of the state playoffs if we get there. And, it's kind of hard when you're competing with somebody this is game 15 and they've bonded back. They don't have anything to get back to. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah. I got a note last week from a CMS basketball coach, and he was asking me what I thought about possibly having a postseason tournament for the non-playoff teams, and maybe even take some of the teams that lose in the first and second round of playoffs and give them an at-large bid. Your thoughts there, Christy and Jason? Would that work?
I mean, I love it, but you would need the state to approve it. And that's the hard part is I don't know if the state would ever approve. I mean, you go back to Barbara Nelson going to the Dix championship a couple years ago. I mean,
the season had ended then, and they have a hard rule about the season being over. The season technically would not have ended. This is a pandemic. And given the fact that these teams are going to have so few games, I think it could work, in my opinion.
I mean, it would definitely work. I think that'd be a great idea.
I think I know the guy to run it too. He's sitting right to your left.
I think it's a great idea too, Langston. Hey, like Christy said, if the NCHSAA would approve it, I think it would be a great idea to have everybody have that opportunity to play extra games at the end of the season.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any thoughts there, Gary? Or
well, we're playing. I'm in the Southwestern 4A, Hickory Ridge is, and we've continued to play. We had to scramble. But fortunately for us, there are lots of Cabarrus County teams that needed games. Union County teams need games because they were associated. Iredell County teams needed games because they were all connected to CMS. So the schools have scrambled around. We haven't missed a date. We've been playing on a regular schedule, and I feel bad for the CMS kids that they got shut down, and now we're going to have a conference tournament. But those 3 weeks, instead of picking up where you left off with those last 3 games on your schedule, we're just going to have the standard end of season conference tournament like we've had in the past.
Yeah, boy, don't you have an advantage in that? You'd be playing game 16, 15, 16, and they're playing game, what'd you say, Christy, game 5?
Yeah.
And in a one and done format.
How do they do the rankings for that, the pairings?
Yeah, so wait a minute, Gary. So one and done format. So I could only play 4 games if I'm a team that loses the first round. That's it for me?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if I like that one, Coach Mitchell.
I don't know if I'd like that one either.
And we go in as the number 1 seed because we kept playing and we're still undefeated.
Yeah, well.
But how do they rank the rest of the teams?
Yeah.
It's played 3 games.
I really don't know.
I wish I could get Barbara Nelson on the screen right now. I bet she's fine, man. I'd love to see that. Well, we got you guys on the screen. Let's go in the zone, talk a little girls basketball. Yeah, that'd be cool if I took off the banner there. This is Alex's stuff. All right, we got some big games this week, Randall. We're going to start off Providence Day girls are playing Charlotte Christian. Providence Day is 1-1 in league play, looking up at Cannon School. Charlotte Christian just getting started, but Charlotte Christian is dangerous because they have really good guard play. Providence Day is more of a system kind of thing this year. How big a deal is this for Providence Day? Looking ahead to Cannon on Thursday.
It's the ideal trap game. You're going up against a Charlotte Christian team who hasn't played. They've been on quarantine for 2 weeks, and what you don't want to do if you're Josh Springer's girls is overlook this game and try to get your revenge versus Cannon on Friday night. Like you said, Charlotte Christian has tremendous guard play. Bria Busby is back and playing. She's not herself yet. And the question is, like, does she get back at some point this season to become the player that we knew she is? And does that happen tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, if she gets back, that's going to be a dangerous out for anybody.
Yeah,
because Gary, you were talking last week. You said Providence Day just knows how to win, and talked about the tradition of that. The like Coach Mitchell, your girls too. You just know how to win. How big a deal is that, Coach Mitchell, when you have girls who come into the game, they're used to winning and they don't expect to lose? Is that 10 points worth for you? 7 points worth?
Absolutely, absolutely. Josh has his girls. I don't care who he put on the floor. He put on his 8th graders on the floor, and they're going to expect to beat some varsity teams. So I definitely think the culture and, expect to win every game has a big mentality in the game.
All right, Randall, give me a winner.
I'm going to go with Providence Day. I think, I don't think they're going to overlook Charlotte Christian tomorrow night. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think it's going to be a battle, though. I don't think that Charlotte Christian is going to be an easy out, even with two weeks off. Like you said, they have tremendous guard play, but I think Jordan and those girls over at Providence Day find a way to get it done and get ready for Friday night.
And what happened? Well, it's actually Thursday night. What happens on Thursday night when because remember we got referee problems. So what happens on Thursday night when Cannon School comes into Providence Day?
Hoo-wee. Well, the first time that these two teams Reagan Richardson went off for 32 points. As we all know, as coaches on this show, that it's all about adjustments. And trust me, there will be an adjustment made defensively Thursday night.
You can adjust all you want, Randall. She still will get 30.
She probably will. You just got to make it a little bit harder on her. I want to say she shot like 63% the first time. I mean, it was something crazy. She just had it going that night. So you just want to make it a little bit, harder on her. If she gets 30 on 23 shots, you'd be okay with that as a coach. You just want to make her work for every point that she gets Thursday.
All right. Tell me about Marvin Ridge and Charlotte Catholic this week. Both teams are 2-3 in the league behind Cupperson.
Yeah, Charlotte Catholic's just getting Blanca Thomas back, who was out the first couple games of the season, and she's a very, very important key to what they do on both ends of the floor. So they started off 0-2. They got her back, and they've won 4 in a row since. So they've got it going. I think Marvin Ridge is a young team. Kayla Lee has shot the ball really well for them. And offensively, I think they're a lot better than people expected them to be. I just don't know how they stop Blanca tomorrow night. She gets
a triple-double every game, right?
Yeah, it's literally right there. I want to say it's 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 blocks a game. Literally right there. And if you ask her, she hasn't played well yet, which should be very, very scary for a lot of people.
I'm kind of mad because we don't have any non-conference games. I like to see Charlotte Catholic get a little South Meg action. Just go across the street over there on Park Road.
Just walk down there and play them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Randall, you've been wanting to do fresh faces and talk about some of these hot young, I shouldn't say it like that, these really good young ladies. I'm sorry, Chris, don't give me a trouble. Yeah. Mila Holloway of Covenant Day, her brother, everybody knows, Biscuit, Mr. Biscuit, Aiden Holloway. But tell me about Mila. I don't know how to say it.
Hey, listen, a pure scorer. She can score from all 3 levels, and I know Christy and I talked about her before the season started. She's unbelievable. She can score, like I said, from all 3 levels. She was just a shooter probably two years ago, and it was runner off the line, and now she just puts the ball on the floor, gets to the rim, finishes well. And obviously, there are some other girls in her class who we talk about. Obviously, she's in the shadow of her brother, but she's a quiet kid just like him, and she doesn't have a problem going out to go get it. And she's really fun to watch. And I think that she's kind of one of those kids that's flying under the radar, but she's a really big impact player, especially in that league.
Tell me about Ella Hobbs of J.M. Robinson.
Ella Hobbs
got a brother that can play too.
Yeah, she does have a brother that can play. He's doing well, but Ella missed the first. They were quarantined for her team was quarantined for the first couple of weeks, so they just got back to action, and she came back and had a great game versus West Cabarrus. 41 points there, was 15 and 19 from the field, 12 rebounds. She's a tremendous shot blocker and, is doing everything that I think everyone expected her to do. West Cabarrus also has another young lady over there that's a freshman as well, Ashley Shaw. And in that game,
she's getting like 25 a night.
Ashley Shaw had 27 a night, and she's a great two-way player, really gets after it on the defense end, which I love. You can tell that she's very competitive, doesn't like to lose.
We got Ella Hobbs tomorrow.
Say again?
We got Ella Hobbs tomorrow.
Good luck. She had 42 points and 20 rebounds. Was that a touchdown?
When I saw that, I was like, what? And then I saw the film. I was like, uh-oh.
Coach Smith, have you seen anybody go for 42 and 20 in high school?
No.
This girl.
Hey, Randall. Also, West Cabarrus has a sophomore transfer from Sun Valley, Jade Clowney. Have you seen her yet?
Yeah, she's really good. And that group, I think, with West Cabarrus being a new school, I think everybody expected them to get off to a slow start. And then Jade goes over there and they redo the lines a little bit. And Ashley ends up there. And I think things got going a little bit quicker than anybody over there could have expected.
All right, we're going to move on. I'm going to bring in Jason, and we're going to send Gary to the back. And I'm going to try to do Alex's One's Got to Go if I can find the theme music. It's a lot harder when you got to find the theme music and talk at the same time. I have it on here somewhere, I think.
That left brain, right brain thing, right?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. Okay, I am not Alex Bass, but this is One's Got to Go. I don't have his vocabulary whatsoever.
I missed this last week telling Jason how wrong he was about so much stuff, so I'm excited to get back.
Oh, wait. I forgot. I got to bring Gary back. Gary, you got a question for Randall and Christy. I forgot to let you go.
Yeah, pre-COVID, prior to COVID, I know COVID isn't extenuating circumstance. What is leading to girls beginning to transfer so often? I mean, that we see it happening with boys, and we kind of expect it, but now you see it a lot with girls. Is it their parents? Is it the school that they play for, or is it the AAU influence trying to create super teams? What is your opinion on why we're starting to see more girls transfer like in the boys' game?
Well, in my opinion, I've always said that the girls' basketball is about 10 light years behind boys' basketball and everything. So we're just now catching up to the trends of transfers. But in my opinion, I think it's a couple factors. One are the parents. The parents want their kids to play. The parents wants the kid to be a superstar. The parent wants the kid to get enough, to get minutes. And if you're on a team that your daughter is the sixth man or may not be getting the minutes, then you want to put your child in the best situation. I get it. I've got kids that transferred out of my program, and I wish them the best. I'll help them out in any way possible. But you got to do what's best for your kid and what's going to put them in the best situation. I get it. But also, I do think that AAU coaches do have a big influence on some of the kids, especially transient kids who have bounced before, went from one school to another school, or parents that rent apartments or rent houses. It's much easier for a parent to say, you know what, next year I'm not going to South Meck. We're going to go to North Meck, and I'm going to go up there and rent an apartment in North Meck District, and it's legal. You can do that. It's harder when you have a family who owns a house, and then you have to try to forge documentation on, do you really live in this house? Is this a legit bona fide move, which could get the kid in some trouble with transfers.
I moved in with my uncle, Christy.
So what? Oh, yeah, you're living with your uncle.
I moved in with my uncle.
Well, I need documentation on that. So I think it's a little bit of both. Kids want to play for state championships, just like the boys do. Girls want to do it too. Kids want to be on the best situation. I mean, parents want their kids to be in the best situation for colleges to see them. So if you're playing, if you're a good player and you're playing on a mediocre team and colleges aren't in the gym every week, then you might need to make a move to put that kid in front of more college coaches. So I think it's a little combination of everything.
Right.
Exactly. I think it's a combination of everything. I think, girls want to try to be in a position where they can really compete and win in some situations. I think parents have a lot to do with it, but I also think that they're not as informed in a lot of situations as to why this move makes sense or doesn't make sense. And obviously, if you're the one getting these kids, you're going to tell them all the reasons why they need to come. And I get that. But, having all the information on why or why not it's a good move is very important. And I think that's something that lacks on the girls' side. But I also think that, AAU coaches have an influence. And, I've seen situations where, AAU coaches are asked or, where should I go to high school, or should I do this or should I do that? And the answers vary. I'm on the side where I don't really deal with that. If, there's a situation where parents want to have a meeting with me and talk about it, we can talk about schools, but I'm not really going to suggest that a kid goes to one place or another. That's just not who I am.
And I think during the pandemic has made it even worse because your trainers and your AAU coaches haven't stopped. I mean, they've been able to be with you and talk to you every day and train you every day. They're in the gym with you every day. We're going to tournaments on weekends. And your high school coaches are sending text messages, saying, hey, girls, hope everybody's doing well, can't wait to see you again type of deal. So the last year has really given more of an influence on the AAU coach than the high school coach has.
Absolutely.
And now even today on the boys' side, like you can get on social media and you see guys, who were at public school at the beginning of the season because they're not playing. Well, I shouldn't say because they're not playing, but for some circumstances, they're on the move and going to head to a private school in the next week or so. It's unfortunate. I wish that it wouldn't happen, but I've talked to high school coaches who said that, once CMS shut down, there were, prep schools and other schools reaching out to their kids. I had a public school kid call me and talk to me about reclassifying and going to a private school. And I'm like, it's January. Why are we having this conversation right now? But, with this pandemic and everything going on, like it is what it is.
I think everybody's on edge with the pandemic. Garrett, you're actually supposed to host One's Got to Go, not me.
Okay. And you're the boss.
Here we go. Let me call up again. You're not Alex either, but here we go.
All right, guys, we got some good basketball topics here tonight. Put on your thinking caps. Let me get your opinion. The first one, NBA backcourt. Okay. One of them has got to go. You got Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook for the Wizards. Okay. You got Devin Booker and Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns. Or you got McCollum and Damian Lillard in Portland. One's got to go. Who you got, Christy?
Well, I try to stay in my lane, and this is definitely not my lane. So I always ask my sons what their thoughts are. And they said Devin Booker and Chris Paul just because they're not entertaining enough. And I said, I love Chris Paul personally, but the thing I love the most about him is his commercials. So I don't think that's going to keep him in the backcourt. So,
okay, I think Jake would agree with that. Randall,
I'm actually going Chris Paul and Devin Booker as well. I love Devin Booker. Chris Paul is a great point guard, but obviously right now he's older in his career. Devin Booker hasn't quite gotten there yet. I absolutely love Bradley Beal. He's probably the most underrated star in the league to me. Westbrook, you can't match his intensity and the way he competes every night on the floor. And CJ and Dame, I mean, that's a 1-2 punch in the backcourt. That would be a coach's dream right there. So unfortunately, Book and Paul See you later.
Jason.
Well, Randall, you should be happy because you might get a few more followers now because I'm going to agree with you. I noticed the last few weeks your followers have dwindled because you're not agreeing with the guy who's usually right. No, you're right, man. I coached against Chris Paul at team camp, a long time ago. Let's just put it that way. Him and the guy from Eastern Alamance were all in the same team camp at Wilmington. James On Curry. So that's a name from the blast from the past, a 3,000-point scorer.
Signed with Carolina.
Yeah, signed with Carolina and Oklahoma State. Had a real good career. Chris Paul was good, and I think his day was in the past. But you're right. It's the timing. Those guys provide energy, and they both of them. The other backcourts, they play both ends. But I think Christie's right, and Randall's right. He needs to spend some more time doing some basketball workouts rather than some commercials for State Farm.
We got to make sure that we get a clip of that. Groove just said I was right about something. We definitely need that for the archive.
You need to put that in your resume.
That was a tough one because
Chris Paul's a North Carolina guy too.
Booker's a great shooter. I mean, and Chris Paul is gonna make him look good. That's what I like about Chris Paul. He makes other people look good. Lillard and McCollum, good gracious, they're awesome. And then Bradley Beal is probably the best off guard in the league, but they don't win, so nobody gets to see him that often.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is 100 miles an hour, and you never know what you're gonna get. He has no self-awareness. It's like you can tell him you can't shoot this three. And he's going to shoot it, which is what you want him to do, because he takes everything personal. But there's nobody in the league that plays harder than Westbrook. So that was a tough one. Here's another one. Since we're all talking heads now, and I'm sure most of you being stuck at home teaching a lot, get to see these programs. One's got to go. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, or Skip Bayless? Jason, we'll go with you first.
Man, this one's easy, man. We got to skip Bayless. We got to skip him. It's got to go Kellerman, multidimensional, and Stephen A. is just Stephen A. He's he does a lot outside of his realm, so he's versatile. Let's put it that way. Bayless got to go.
Okay, Randall, what's the matter? Come on.
This question is so easy, and he gets it wrong. That's the crazy part. Like, how do you mess this one up? There's no way you can get rid of Skip Bayless. Even if Skip Bayless is wrong, he's hilarious, and you're going to watch anyway. Who's not hilarious and who's always wrong on this list is Max Kellerman. He's got to go. There is no way I would ever spend my morning watching First Take and have to listen to his analysis about anything. Max Kellerman is easily, hands down, got to go.
Christy.
So again, staying in my lane, my 14-year-old son Mason gave me these answers. He's agreeing with Jason and saying Skip's got to go.
Age factor.
He must be a LeBron fan.
Well, the reason is that he did get some kudos, some brownie points because he's a Cowboys fan, but he's a LeBron hater.
Exactly. I know.
And he said, quotes, he don't speak facts. Opinions. So it's gotta go.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on this one, Randall. Max Kellerman, I won't say he doesn't know anything. He knows boxing now.
Yeah.
Get him on boxing. He knows boxing.
He does.
But any other sport, he is clueless. I mean, he's clueless. Stephen A. Smith is loud, but he really does know basketball. Right. He actually played at the college level. And Skip Bayless, I think he says things just to get a reaction.
Oh, yeah. A lot of it's for shock value, for sure.
Yeah, it's shock value. LeBron, he knows LeBron is the best in the game. I mean, he knows it. But it keeps you coming back like, what's this idiot?
What's he going to say today?
Yeah. It's like looking at a car wreck,
Right.
You can't help but watch. So, but I think Stephen A. Smith seems like he's the only one that didn't get picked
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, last one. You're all coaches here, and I'm sure you use all of these training methods to some extent. But which one, if you can no longer use this method of training, would you get rid of? Wind sprints, weight training, or distance running? When I'm talking about, like the mile run or 400s or whatever, like that. All right. Randall, you go first this time.
Well, I hope I don't offend the other two on here, but for me, this one was easy, and it was distance running. I always ask when coaches tell me that they run, the mile or they time the mile, I always ask, when in basketball are we running a mile? And no one's ever been able to give me a great time. I'd rather just go in the gym and let's get all our wind sprints in the gym. We can run up and downs until they throw up in there. I just have never been a fan of running for long distance. So for me, that's the one that's got to go.
Christy?
I'm going to agree. I definitely do use the distance runs, and I know we don't ever run that in an actual game, but for endurance purposes, we've always done a longer running. And I know my girls hate when I say, okay, we're on the track today, because, oh my gosh, what are we doing? But I would agree that if I had to get rid of one, the other two are definitely more suitable for basketball. So it'd be distance running.
Jason?
Randall, 2.6. This is a number that needs to stick in your mind. The average player, if they play 26 minutes, runs 2.6 miles in a game.
Yeah, but they don't run them in a loop, though. They run them up and down.
So there's another thing that you might have heard of. It's called foundation. You have to have a foundation. If I just go from my couch to your training facility and you tell me to run sprints, I'm going to run about 2 sprints. Well, I'll probably run about 5 or 6 because I'm a lot mentally tougher than that. But the point is, if you just walk off and you're not in any kind of shape for the distance piece, you're not going to be able to run more than 2 or 3 sprints. You're going to be gassed and you're done. You're not going to be able to make a free throw. You're not going to be able to make a jump shot. You're not going to be able to guard anybody. But if I have to have either one, I got to get rid of distance running. But it is a foundation.
He just answers sometimes just to argue with me.
We need it. We need it.
He literally just tried to argue. He literally just tried to argue with me, but he agreed with me.
You just missed it too easily. That's all. It's a lot harder than it appears because you do have to have a foundation. But you're right. You don't run it in Carolina. A lot of those schools do that just to show that mark their training, to see how far they've come and improvement. But in terms of needing it, but it also, there is a mental toughness component. But today, I would say 10 or 15 years ago, I would have said weight training, because you get that distance first and then you get into the gym and then once you got a good base and you can run 6 or 7 wind sprints, that means you can be good for 5 or 6 possessions without any kind of letdown, defensive letdowns or offensive letdowns. But now the game has changed. You got to have the weight room. Like, that's, I think, in the years I've been coaching, the biggest difference is that weight room. I mean, the bodies are so much bigger and stronger today than they were. It's such a more physical game at every level too. Like, used to be space and you get bumped and there's no call and you're out of bounds. I'm like, you gotta get in the weight room. I mean, that's
a lot more core work, a lot more explosiveness work. Like, a lot more all that stuff for sure.
You're exactly right.
You're all giving scientific reasons, and I agree. I'm gonna eliminate distance running, but I'm gonna do it for a different reason. I played basketball for Gosnell Rusty White, legend. Okay, his second year coaching. I was in the 9th grade, and we did distance running, and I hated that man because that's all we did was every practice. Okay, we're going 2 miles, going to the track, and I'm like, oh, this is basketball. And I was kind of a little chunky kid, and it was just torture. And I said, if I ever do this in my life, I'm never going to make kids run distance. And so throughout my coaching career, we never did distance running just because I hated it. Not because of any scientific reason. It's just that I kept flashing back to when I was 14 years old, and he had us running around that track every day. And I was like, God, I got nothing left for basketball because I'm winning.
That man didn't win anything, did he?
Yeah.
Coach White didn't win nothing.
Now, Gary, I got to make sure that none of my kids are watching this, because if they're going to be like, hey, coach, there's a bunch of drills that we know that you hate that you make us do all the time. Why can't we get it? I got to make sure that we cut that part out.
Well, guys, you guys are having too much fun. Coach Mitchell, I just want to thank you for coming on. We're going to catch you next week and talk. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more basketball to talk about next week. Thanks a lot for coming on.
You have a great week.
Take care.
Right. And Jason, I'm going to put you in the back. We're going to bring you back for Coach versus Coach just a second. Micah isn't here today, Gary. And Rand will scoot over just a little bit. Micah's not here today, but we talked about Randall, one of your favorite players. Who is it, all right, Gary?
Catholics, Bianca Thomas. Is that how you pronounce it, Randall?
Blanca Thomas.
Blanca.
Okay, Blanca.
Tell us about Blanca, Randall.
She's a 6'4" post player, runs like a deer, finishes great around the rim, an anchor on both sides of the floor. Does a really good job posting up and finishing around the rim, but also, as we talked about earlier in the show, great job blocking shots. The thing that's really impressive is most times she's able to block a lot of shots without getting in foul trouble. Mm-hmm. So, she's good at taking angles, using her offhand and things like that. And typically doesn't get into foul trouble often, but, there are those games where being 6'4", going up against these little girls, you start getting those ticky-tack fouls.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what Micah found out.
What makes Blanca Thompson?
Well, most people at my school know me for how tall I am, and I have 2 older brothers. I've been playing basketball since 3rd grade, seriously, and I've just been working my way up since then with my new coaches and everything.
Love it. And you're not only a basketball player, you're also a volleyball player as well.
Yes, I am. In 6th grade, it's definitely helped me improve my vertical, I'd say, mostly. And when I first got to high school is when it got more serious, so I had to work on all my footwork, and it's definitely gone from volleyball to basketball. It's helped me a lot, especially with all the moves down low and pushing myself out towards working the high post. So definitely both those.
Now, what has basketball done for you so far?
So far, it's done a lot. I mean, I grew up in a basketball family, and both my brothers play, my parents both played, so it's in my blood, I'd say, but it's done a lot for me. I've had so many different opportunities because of that. I've been able to talk to so many wonderful coaches already, and I'm just excited to further my way into that journey.
If you can play one-on-one against any basketball player, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably Cameron Brink.
Okay.
I mean, well, because she's a 6'4", just like me. I just think it would be fun to see a matchup like that. I never really have matchups like that. So whenever I get to play someone close to my height or near my height, I mean, it's different. So I'd probably say her.
What's your game day playlist?
I mean, I'd say for my team right now, since I haven't actually had a real game yet, No Hands. That's our team song is No Hands.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm personally more of a chill vibe type of
chill vibe.
But for basketball, I'm all about the high music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there y'all hear it, folks.
Well, Randall, we got some incredible post players in the Charlotte region this year. How does her game compare to some of the other post players in the region?
She's not as physical as a freshman as a lot of those other girls that we normally talk about. The two sisters from Vance. And I think that's the difference between, them being a junior and senior. And when you talk about Blanca and Ella, they just haven't got to that point yet where they really just bang on you when they post up or, are really physical rebounding basketball. I think that's what, I think that'll be the biggest learning curve for both of them this freshman year is just how physical, some people can be in high school.
Well, do you think that I noticed you said she played volleyball. She's going to have to choose one. Do you know, does she favor one or the other? And when kids are good at both, which one do they tend to choose?
It'll be basketball for her. I can put on
she got the big high major offers as a freshman.
Before she played her
volleyball and mom and dad
before she played her first high school basketball game, Gary, she had an offer from Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Western Carolina, and I'm missing somebody. she has one more. So, I mean, it's going to be basketball for her. She kind of just plays volleyball because, it was something she could do with her friend and she had fun with it.
Randall, is she on an arc where she could be a UConn, South Carolina type recruit? Is she that good potentially?
It's going to be up to her. You talk about, how much work do you really want to put in and how good do you want to be? And over the last, 4 to 5 months, when that first college call changed, her mindset and attitude kind of changed because the first call that she got was Michigan. And when the University of Michigan calls first right out the gate, I think you kind of realize this is serious. And so,
absolutely.
she's been in the gym. She's been working really hard, and she's going to just have to decide kind of how far she wants to take it. And that'll decide, where she plays.
All right. Well, I'm going to get off the screen, Gary. I'm going to let you do coach versus coach. You guys got some good topics. Have a good time.
Okay. Well, guys, last week, the big news in the NBA was the trade of James Harden to the New Jersey Nets. And now everybody wants to know, how does that affect Kyrie Irving? How does that affect the team? Can they come together in this short period of time to win a championship? Yes or no? Let's start with you, Rick. What do you think about this big deal?
Well, on paper, it sounds really good, but there's one problem. They have to play the Lakers probably in the NBA championship, and I'm going to go with LeBron James winning again.
Okay. Jason.
2 letters. N-O. No. No, man, that's not going to – we'll see. I mean, there's too many strange things out there and egos and left turns going on. I don't see that being a good situation at the end of the year. Even I don't see him getting out of the East.
Wow. All right, Randall.
I completely agree, and I never thought I would say that, especially on a topic like this. He's absolutely right. I don't have them getting out of the East either. They have a rookie head coach. They are absolutely atrocious guarding the basketball. If I'm Steve Nash, I'm going to play Kyrie about 45, 46 minutes a game for about the next week and a half. I'm going to try to get as much value out of him as I can, and I'm going to ship him off. There's absolutely no way this team could be successful with a mixture of Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant.
That's too many.
I watched the other night, 8 possessions where James Harden didn't touch the basketball at all, and Kevin Durant was on the bench. Just Kyrie Irving, pick and roll. The whole 8 possessions. I mean, I never would have expected it.
They play my turn basketball, huh?
No. If we were playing with 2 or 3 basketballs, then they might be on to something. But it's only one ball. I'm trying to drive his value up and get him out of town if we got a chance at all of winning this thing.
Yeah,
we're going to have to change this to the Grube and Clark show because you guys are agreeing way too much.
I'm with you, Randall, and I'm looking at it from a mental standpoint. If you hear what those guys say, you wonder, what planet are you on? I mean, KD's got about 4 or 5 burner accounts, so he's probably already started talking about Kyrie don't pass the ball to James, and James is, he's got to step back. And can't you see those two competing for who had the best move in the game? Not who had the best play to help them win, but who had the best one-on-one move that game. Can't you see that happening?
And I can. And I said before the basketball season, before all this stuff even happened, I told Langston, I said Kyrie Irving doesn't really want to play basketball. Mm-hmm. And, that hiatus during the week kind of solidified it for me. I don't think that he finishes this season on the floor for the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, that brings us to our next question. Does Kanye Irving –
I mean, hey, listen, they're basically wanted to say.
Does he finish the season or does he finish the season with the Nets? Since you started on that topic, go ahead and finish it off, Randall.
I don't think he does either. I don't think Kyrie finishes the season, and I definitely don't think he finishes with the Nets. I don't have anything bad to say about Kyrie. I think it's really unfortunate. He does a lot of good things in the community that don't get talked about. Yeah. But when you're a basketball player and your job is to play basketball, you're supposed to play basketball, especially during the season. He had plenty of time off while he wasn't playing last year. So unfortunately, as great of a talent as he is, I just don't think his heart's in this game anymore. And when your heart's out of it, it's just time to say bye.
Jason,
I mean, he nailed it.
Ready to give him an amen?
He did. Yeah, that's it. I mean, his heart's not in. You could tell. I mean, anytime you're paid that much money, it's a job, and obviously when you get paid that kind of money, you start to lose some of what got you in it in the first place. And I think that's been gone for a while, to be honest with you. I just don't think it's that desire. The want to is there. And then I just think that, if you didn't get paid that kind of money, I think it would be easy. But no, I don't see him finishing the season. And it may be one of those deals where we don't know, or is it an injury, and that he finishes the season with them, but I think I don't think you can even. I don't think it's a secret. You know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna be hard for what Randall says to try to showcase him to see the value they can give, because I think the more you do that, the more you expose the fact that he just doesn't want to be out there either. So it's a tough situation. That's they got them the general GM is in trouble there, because you got a guy that's just doesn't want to be there, in my opinion.
Rick,
I'm going to go against the grain and say I think he will. I think there's some pressure there for him to finish out the season. He has an opportunity to play with Durant and also James Harden. He has an opportunity to play for an NBA championship. The season's early right now. They're in fourth place, but I do think there's plenty of time for them to make it right. And I do think they'll come out of the East winning the championship. And I think they'll go up against the Lakers, but I think the Lakers will win the championship over the Nets.
Now, Jason and Randall, you both mentioned you don't think they're coming out of the East. Then who is? Jason?
Right now, I mean, there's a couple of teams that could play. I mean, I think it's really too early, see what's going on. But I think Boston at the end of the year might be all right. I mean, I don't know. I just think that they're good.
I think Boston is a matchup nightmare for them. I think that they match up really well with the Nets. So I definitely think Boston. But I think the scary pick in the East is going to be Joel Embiid and those 76ers. I'm not sure what Doc Rivers told Joel, but Joel Embiid has been much more aggressive, much more dominant in the games that he's played this season. I know tonight is one of the nights where he's not playing, but he's been really good since Doc Rivers got there. He's shooting less threes. He's doing more work in the paint. And I think that, with the addition of Seth Curry has helped them as far as shooting the basketball. I really like some of the pieces in Philly, and I think Philly's the team that if they can put it all together here down the stretch, they could be the ones to come out of the East.
All right, now we hit this question, and it's not on the script, but since we're talking NBA basketball, we hit this question about a month ago. The Hornets, do they make the playoffs now that you've seen them for a few for I guess you would say a fourth of the season? What do you think about how they're playing? Rick?
Go ahead, Randall.
I enjoy watching the Hornets play. I know a lot of people don't agree with LaMelo coming off the bench still. I don't have a problem with it. I think LaMelo and Miles Bridges coming off the bench has been very good for the Hornets. I think on nights where they're slow starting offensively, those two kind of give them a jolt, give them some energy, and it's really good to see them on the floor and playing well. I think everybody who questioned Gordon Hayward and why give him that much money, I think those critics have stopped. And I think that, a young team, they're always going to hit their bumps in the road. I think they hit a bump in the road last week, and they bounced back last night with a big win. They'll try to beat Orlando tonight. We'll see how Gordon Hayward does. I don't know if he goes for 39 again, but, I think that's definitely a winnable game for them. And I think they're putting something together, where they could be, 1 to 2 pieces away from being really dangerous. But I still think that this team, getting Cody Zeller back this week, I still think they make the playoffs.
Okay.
Do you think Melo should be starting though?
I don't. I like LaMelo. I like LaMelo and Miles Bridges coming off the bench. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me. I think that the way they did it 2 nights ago was perfect. LaMelo still played 28 minutes. He played starters minutes, came off the bench, and the other Martin played like 5 minutes. I think it was Cody. He only played 5 minutes. That's the way it should be. I don't have a problem with Terry and Devontae starting in the backcourt. When LaMelo and Miles get on the floor, I think they bring energy and do a good job. And, he's still playing starters minutes, even as a 6-man.
I would agree. I think the biggest problem is having Dad just be the social media pundit out there, talking about he should be starting and not coming off the bench, and that could be a distraction down the road.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, Coach Borrego calling them out the other day. Yeah. I know there were a bunch of fans that weren't happy about that, but I understand it. Like the thing that people don't understand is that this team is trying to win basketball games. And a lot of people, I understand you got the number 3 pick. You want to see LaMelo on the floor. You want to see him play 38, 40 minutes. I get it. But at the end of the day, we're here to win. And that coaching staff, as of right now, they're trying to win basketball games. And so if they feel like a guy turning the ball over 6 times in 16 minutes isn't going to get the job done, I get it. He played 28 minutes yesterday and only had 4 turnovers. That's a lot better than what he had the previous game.
Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's I've had scenarios where I've had a kid that's truly a starter, but he just when he started, he didn't perform. And when they come off the bench, they get to see the flow of the game. There's a lot to be said about that, and I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's that's the guys that finish the game. Parents always ask, well, are they going to be on it? And are they going to be at the end of the game? Like, well, it depends. I said, are we on defense or are we on offense at the end of the game? Do we need to stop? Because you kid's probably not going to be on the floor if we need to stop. But you're looking at those kids and you're talking about numbers and getting starter numbers and starter shots. There's something to be said about that. That energy you provide, it gives kind of the rest of the team a jolt. You talk about different kind of lineups and stuff, and I try to keep two scoring threats. If we have 3.5, 4, whatever you got, you want to have 2 good scoring threats, and you also got to play a certain amount of minutes and be productive at that. So I think that I like it. I like having so-called starters that can come off the bench, provide that extra juice. And sometimes some people just don't start well. If they don't have the right pregame mindset, they're not good. And a lot of those guys, if they don't hit their first few shots, they're no good the rest of the game either, too. And that's a lot of game to be bad. So I think they got a shot to be in that 7 seed, maybe sneak into the 6 seed. Gordon is playing well. I mean, you won a game on a 5-second call last night. That's kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often.
They're starting to hit their groove a little bit. So I think they can sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is they're entertaining to watch. Last year was like watching paint dry. They were so boring. I mean, it's one thing to be bad, but when you're bad and boring, that's a bad combination to have. And they're very entertaining this year. And I got the game on in the background right now.
I was going to say they're down 6 right now before the half. Yeah.
But, I used to would never watch a Hornets game the last 2 seasons. And now, I try to watch every one of them. So hopefully, they can stay away from those long losing streaks and do enough just at least get into the play-in part of the tournament. The NBA is having a play-in segment this year where teams get, to play in, kind of like in the bubble. You get to play into the playoffs. All right, our last topic. Is Tom Brady the best player of all time? And give me your Super Bowl pick. Rick?
Absolutely. You look at Tom Brady's history. He's won 6 Super Bowls. He's been to 10. So out of his 21 years in NFL, 10 of the 21 years he's been to the Super Bowl. So I would say that would define him as the greatest of all time. In addition, I think destiny's in his favor, and I'm going to go with the Bucs and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Ooh. Jason?
Yes. He's the greatest quarterback. That's a lot of Super Bowl appearances, 10. And he's not going to win this one. The Kansas City Chiefs are bringing it back. They're running it back. You got Patrick Mahomes, who just and their defense is better. I mean that, and the receiver Hill. I think his name is Hill. Yeah. That guy, you can't tackle him.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. I thought the Green Bay Packers should have beaten. They made some questionable calls. I mean, from going for 2 to not going for a touchdown. I mean, if they need a guest speaker on the football show, hey, he's right here. But there's some crazy stuff. Like the Packers should have won. They never got the ball back. And Brady got picked 3 times, by the way. He got picked 3 times. And the Green Bay Packers scored more touchdowns on takeaways than any other team, and they only scored 1 on those 3 picks. So, and those picks were like 2 of them were like a punt. But yeah, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, he went from look what he did at New England, and rightfully, Bill Belichick gets a lot of credit for that. All of a sudden, one piece is gone from Bill Belichick's arsenal, his cupboard, and the cupboard goes to the Wizard of Oz, and Belichick goes gets what's his name from the Panthers, and they don't do anything. So I mean that's I guess the icing on the cake for me, because I think for a long time I think that was good for Tom, because if not, I think everybody would say, well, it's Belichick's system. They would have given too much credit to him, and now it's like, dang, man. And I think there's a lot of stuff, and you all know this, coaching sports, specifically football, is that there's a lot of behind the scenes that guy does, in terms of leadership, that work ethic, professionalism at that level. You're all getting paid this millions of dollars, but this dude's getting paid millions of dollars, but look at how he takes his craft. Look at how he watches film. All these little things that, guys that come into the league and get paid a lot of money don't understand. And you see that guy who's been doing it for that long, and he's 43 and he's still doing it. It gives credence, I think, to what the coach is trying to sell. But Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, round 2, baby.
And the big play of the game was with 2 seconds go in the halftime, before the half, and they were going to punt. And they had decided not to punt. Then they throw the long pass and score a touchdown with 2 seconds remaining. But the thing about Brady too is, I think too, like even when they beat the New Orleans Saints after the game, Drew Brees' son is a big Tom Brady fan, and I think after the game he met with his son and threw him a pass. I thought the simple things such as that speaks volume of who he is as a person.
Yeah. Even last night, him going up to his own son in Lambeau and talking to him for 15 seconds, the clip was. It just kind of showed you what kind of guy he is. Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football. Aaron Rodgers, I am a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, and Green Bay had plenty of opportunities. 3rd down at the 8-yard.
Why didn't he run, Randall? Why didn't he run?
I have no idea why he didn't run. And I love A-Rod. I don't think I've ever criticized A-Rod, but I literally thought I was going to lose all my hair when he didn't just take off. And, if you get knocked out of bounds at the 2, like we'll take 4th down at the 2 rather than 4th down at the 8. So many questionable calls, and, you get into that. I don't like to be the sideline coach, but
armchair quarterback.
Yeah, you don't want to be the Monday morning quarterback, but it was just rough to see. But Brady is the GOAT, and that's awesome that they get to play the Super Bowl at home. But again, Patrick Mahomes boy, Chiefs, 42-34 Sunday night. Book it.
I'm agree with all of you about the GOAT statement, but I'm also going to say my homeboy. It's hard. Now, I think it's going to be a very, very high-scoring game.
Oh, for sure.
It's definitely going to be a high-scoring game. May come down to who has the ball last. Because, Mahomes, it looks like they score whenever they feel like it,
It's crazy. For them to get off to the slow start that they got off to yesterday, and then you look up and you're like, what in the world? How did they just get up to school?
40, yeah.
I just want to make one quick point. Back in September, Gary, you may remember, we talked about who was going to be in the Super Bowl. I said it's going to be a little bit of pewter and a little bit of blood red. Remember that? I said,
yeah, you did.
And I said the Chiefs are going to win 38-28. I'm going to stick with my prediction. I said back then, Mahomes will throw 4, run 1, and they'll win 2 in a row. That's my prediction. I'm sticking with it. I've been saying this since September. But the question, guys, is Tom Brady the GOAT? Not the greatest quarterback, the greatest football player. Yes or no, Rick? Is he the best football player ever?
Yes, he is. 6 Super Bowls and been to 10. Any other NFL player has that accomplishment.
Jason.
Yep.
Best football player ever. Randall, best football player, not quarterback, best football player.
Goat that man.
Goat that man.
Goat that man.
Gary, I'm sorry it's not a Cowboy, but what do you think?
He's winning me over, and just because I wasn't around, but I'm a football historian and looked at a lot of film. I'm still thinking Jim Brown.
I was going to say Jim Brown.
I think
the recency bias on all these things.
Yeah, I think the reverence that other players and announcers pay to Jim Brown is something. But if you want to say modern, over the last 30, 40 years, yeah, it's definitely Tom Brady.
Terry Bradshaw said yesterday about 5 times. I think he said it for a point. He says the best quarterback in the past 25 years. He said it 5 times, at least 5 times. I say he's trying to make a point there. And not necessarily talking about himself, but I think he's trying to make a point there. Coach Rick, before we get out of here, we got 2 really big basketball games. I'm going to put you on the one shot, let you talk about Carmel Christian, Victory Christian on Tuesday, and then Victory Christian, Lake Norman Christian in a rematch on Friday. Victory Christian won round 1 with a late push, and was McCarthy's first game. Tell us about those 2 games.
Well, the game tomorrow night is a home game for Victory Christian, but the game will be played at the Rock Hill Sports and Events Center, and that game starts at 7 p.m. and followed by the Burlington School and Liberty Heights. Going into the contest, Carmel Christian has an 18-1 record. They're the number 1 team in the state and the private school sector. Victory Christian comes in with a 16-5 record. Now, you look at their record, but look at the losses they've had. They've lost to Liberty Heights. They lost to IMG. They lost to Legion Academy. This is a very talented team. I think whoever can control the tempo of the game will be victorious. Carmel Christian is a little bit better in the half-court sets. If they can control the tempo and run their sets and run their plays, they'll get good shots. The key for Victory Christian, they're more athletic. They have a tremendous amount of athleticism across the board. They're more athletic than Carmel Christian. The key for them is they're going to have to limit their turnovers, the careless turnovers. Last week, they played Liberty Heights. They went out and jumped out on them early, but as the game wore on, they just turned the ball over too many times. So it's going to be coming down to really the guard play between Justin Taylor and DeMar Anderson, and whoever can control the tempo, control the pace, limit the turnovers, I think will be the victorious team. Like I said, it's a home game for Victory, but it's being played at Rock Hill. That being said, it takes away the home court advantage that Victory would have. However, the one thing that Victory Christian really does well, their fans come out and support them. They have a great fan base. So I would imagine that there's going to probably be hundreds of fans coming out tomorrow supporting Victory Christian. So that's going to be a real toss-up there. It could be an upset in favor of Victory Christian. Friday night, we have, Victory Christian going up against Lake Norman Christian. They played on January the 12th at Victory Christian. That was the first game for head coach Pat McCarthy. Watch the game on live stream. It was a very, very good game. Lake Norman, like they've done in previous games, they get a little bit behind. They make a nice little comeback. They had a chance to tie and win the game at the end, but they turned the ball over. So that was the first game for Coach McCarthy. And since then, they've won 5 straight games. So this is going to be a home game for Lake Norman. It's going to be a very small gym. It's going to be a really nice environment for the game. And I do like the way that Lake Norman Christian's playing. The big win over Word of God, I think that is going to change the season for them. And they're a team to look out for from here to the end of the season.
Wow. So that are you guys doing that tournament at the end of the season for the non-affiliated teams?
We are. We have the Hoop State Championship March 12th through the 14th. And, the non-association teams, and they're one of them, and they have an invite. And we're also
I hope Lake Norman Christian gets in that tournament. I want to see them play combine. I want to see Dillingham and Mikey, and I want you guys to put it on streaming on Hoop State. I tell you what, guys, the one thing that has been positive for me in the pandemic is all the streaming. What Rick and those guys do, what the high schools are doing now on NH, whatever that thing
NFHS,
that network, The
Yeah.
volleyball this weekend, the two announcers they had, the production quality was top notch. It was like almost like, turned on television. And Rick's crew is just like turned on television. I think it's been great. We didn't get a chance to really see CMS get their cameras rolling because as soon as you guys got started, we got stopped. But it's just nice, you can sit and see so many different teams play, teams I wouldn't necessarily even watch. I get a chance to see. So that's been really positive for me. I definitely want fans to come back and everybody to kind of get back to life as normal. But that's been a positive for me. But guys, I really enjoyed the show tonight. You guys do a great job. We got a lot of new fans tonight, I see. So that's great for you. Thanks for you guys for watching. Next week, make sure you comment, though. I'd love to get your comments. Let the guys comment on your comments. We can have a good time with that, especially Coach Groove. You see Coach Groove has all this personality. We got to take advantage of it while we have it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Langston. That's Randall. That's Gary. That's the Guru, Coach Rick. That's my man, Jason Groove. We are talking prep, and we'll get you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Rick, is there a